By definition, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's sometimes challenging for a lot of us. Our next guest is a board-certified psychiatrist who says once you have the proper tools, it's easier than you might think. We welcome Dr. Alauna Curry to Virginia this morning. Doctor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
So you've got 4 ways to develop empathy, and you put them into like letters, and it spells out the word done. So break down what all of that means for us, starting with the D, I guess.
Sure. So just to give it some background, I think we need to all recognize that empathy is something that has to be practiced. It's a skill that has to be developed. And humans are not that good at it right now. We're all going through so many traumatic things that we just might really find it hard to be engaged with our best brain, our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain that we need to be able to really get out of our own bubble and feel the experience of other people. So D is descriptive. So make yourself think about things with more detailed words that can help describe the circumstances in a way that everybody involved can agree with. So for example, some people might think, oh, life just feels like hell right now. That's a really extreme way of saying it. So we could say everybody is experiencing a lot of painful experiences, and just using more descriptive terms can help you find that middle ground that people can agree on.
So one of the first things you said there was that empathy is not something that a lot of us do naturally, or maybe most people or all people don't do naturally. And I guess that's true. You're the expert on this. But I do run into people that seem to be much better at it than, say, me or a lot of other folks. So they've probably learned this skill.
Absolutely. Empathy is one of those things it's on a dial. So some people are more tuned in and some people are less tuned into it. And I think we also are taught more that empathy is about being connected to other people's emotions. And I say empathy is really being in other people's experience. And that's a deeper level of being able to engage with empathy. So I agree with you that definitely naturally humans are born with empathy for other people. But as we grow up in the world and we experience hurts and pains and other things that make us just kind of draw more into ourselves, that can cause us to separate from other people a bit.
All right. So D was descriptive and a new way of saying things. What does the O stand for?
The O is be more objective. You know, we have a tendency to treat our feelings as if they are facts. People have a tendency to express their opinions as if those opinions are always grounded in factual reality. But I would say that we have to really learn to assess a situation with more information, with more details, and with evidence. So it would help if we would start what we say with I believe or my opinion is this, and then be able to explain that with more factual evidence. And being objective helps us to meet more in the middle and be able to learn from each other without that struggle that we have to recognize the other person's perspective.
All right, here's the one I've got the most problem with. And I'm guessing I'm not alone, because we've all got our own experiences and we all know what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad. The N is for non-judgmental. That's a toughie.
Non-judgmental is definitely tricky because most people actually think that they're not judgmental, but by nature, the human brain has to make judgments. We're constantly calculating what's happening in micro judgments every second of the day. So we're not naturally non-judgmental. However, if we recognize that we're making a judgment, we also can start recognizing where that judgment or that thought process may be harmful to not only ourselves, because we're going to be experiencing what we're telling ourselves about it, but also could be harmful to the other person as they experience our judgment. So it's something that we have to recognize is naturally a part of how we think, but we do have control over that. You have to fight that urge to make a conclusion based on your own narrow, superficial assessment of what the other person is doing, saying, or feeling.
Okay, I'm going to work on it. I wonder, I'm wondering if children don't start out as judgmental as those of us who've experienced more than a little bit of life.
Judgment is definitely taught. We're all programmed by our environment and the belief systems that we're the most exposed to in our world. And that, that's the beautiful thing about being human. Our beliefs are operative. Our beliefs do cause us to interact with each other in a way that can sometimes cause a wrestling match when it doesn't need to.
All right, we've done descriptive, objective, non-judgmental, and then we have the E left for done, and before we're done. So what does E stand for?
The E is effective. So, a lot of times, this biology that we have going on in here is creating huge impulses that we often act upon and are not fully aware of. We're not really taught to be aware of our thoughts and how they create our emotions and how those invisible emotions are driving our decision making and what we say. So, I tell people we have this thing called an amygdala, and your amygdala is the part of your brain that creates your emotions. And unfortunately, if you don't know you have an amygdala, you may say things in a way that is not really what you want to say, but because of the emotions behind it, it's coming out. I know we've all probably done this where we tell somebody we don't care, but we really do care. But in the moment, what we're feeling is driving what we're saying, and that's not effective. So the challenge for us in this new year is to be effective when we're talking to other people and choose better words that are easier for the other person to understand. So that's us wrestling our powerful animal and also understanding the other person has to receive our message better.
Wow. I really enjoyed talking to you. And you know what I'm also going to enjoy? I've never had a chance to tell a board certified psychiatrist, I'm sorry, but our time is up. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I learned a lot today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great one.
All right. It was a great pleasure to talk with the doctor, and we wish her all the well and the best for the new year. And for more information on this topic, we'll post a link on our show website by early this afternoon at WTVR.com/VTM.